Welcome to What You Playing here on Lunar Arcade, the part of the show where we get into what we've been playing lately and whether you should check it out too. If you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode.
All right, so for the first game, I have gotten hooked. I had it for a while, but it's just been sitting on the shelf, and it is Sea of Stars. And I started playing it to see if I was in the mood to play it, and I got hooked. And this game is basically like a Super Mario RPG, turn-based. It reminds me of Chrono Trigger in a lot of ways, but then it also has like the DNA of Super Mario RPG with like timing attacks and timing defense. Whenever an enemy tries to attack you, if you press the A button like at just the right moment, you can take less damage because you blocked it. Same thing when you try to dish out damage. It's cool though because you get to actually like climb things. Like you could see them actually like climbing on cliffs or like jumping off a cliff into water. RPG, it's got that RPG, but like where you're just traveling around, but you can climb on things, you can jump. Mind you, you're just pressing one button to do it. You're just pressing A to climb, A to jump when you get to the edge of something. But there's something about it that I really love, but you just want to let go right when it gets to its biggest size, and then it does a lot of damage, which is really cool. He's got like sun abilities. Yeah, he's got sun abilities, she's got moon abilities, but you also get other party members later on. It just got this really cool like timing mechanism mechanic for like battle. You can actually make campfires and stuff, and then when you have like a campfire, you can talk to your party members and like see what's on their mind briefly, and then you can also cook at the campfires so that you can make like health items or items that replenish your magic power and stuff like that. So I'm actually really hooked on this one. And playing on normal difficulty, and I've actually gotten my ass whipped on normal difficulty by a normal enemy. There's an enemy that's like kind of like an ant, and it's random when it'll choose this move, but it has a move called summon, and it will actually summon one or two more of itself.
Those are always the worst type of enemies though.
Yeah,
the ones that spawn infinite.
Yeah, so if you get one of these, you really, really want to like take these enemies out first. If it's like this enemy and then the enemies, you want to take it out first. They kind of dish out like kind of a meaty chunk of damage, and it's like it sucks when you have them like.
I really love these character designs. They're super cool. I like the aesthetic of like because it's got a little bit of like it's a traditional fantasy RPG kind of thing, but it still has like those like elemental elements to it. And like every character's kind of like background is definitely like put into the style of like what their abilities are and like their playstyle. Like the warrior cook has like the potlet I saw. The lunar monk has like the crystals and stuff on her staff and everything else like that. It's pretty cool.
And I do like their characters too. And what's cool about this game is that this game was well received. Like a lot of people wanted it, and it did a really good job. And not only that, but the creator actually ended up making a DLC, which I'll play next for free.
That's actually pretty sick.
A whole DLC, a whole like different story, and he released it for free. And I was like, that's awesome. But check out this, like when she does the thing with the moons. Like this, you're pressing.
Oh, you can bounce it down to move it over. That's pretty sick.
So when you dish out the attack, as soon as the moon gets the moon little crescent blade gets within her hit range, you press the A button and she'll slap it back. And this move can technically hit all enemies. It'll bounce between them. So she's like bouncing them.
That's really sick though.
Yeah, so there's different abilities, have different like timing mechanics to press. And then you level up, it's got the traditional like walking on the map aspect, and
it's got fishing game of the year. Game of the year. It came out 2 years ago. I don't care. Give it someone called Jeff Keighley right now. Give it the best game award right now.
Yeah, and it's just super fun. So like that's the world map. And then wow, I didn't even know he could do that. Spoilers. But yeah, later you get these.
You know what's a really great hallmark of like just making a really fun game sometimes, especially in like big open world RPGs or something like this, making movement fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like making your environments like super alive and flush that like you enjoy like the character of it all, right? But on top of that, being able to like jump, like if you ever play like the Shantae games, or if you play like some sort of like if you play Spider-Man,
the Shantae games.
Spider-Man is like I'm just webbing around everywhere, but it's like the movement and the feeling of it is so cool and fun. Like the aesthetic of it makes you enjoy having to go all across New York just to get to the next mission marker. You know what I mean?
Yeah, not too many people put too much effort. Like sometimes I've actually played games where like the game was good, but like walking around the world is just funky, or it just wasn't really that interesting. And I hate that because it's like when the rest of the game is great, you know what I mean? And then you just have this one little thing kind of getting in the way.
Yeah, cough cough Pokemon.
Yeah. And this is the DLC, full DLC.
And it's a continuation of the original story?
I believe so, or a side.
Same characters, I guess.
Yeah, I have no idea if it takes place after the game because I haven't beaten the game yet. But you even eventually get different abilities in this. Like, I think one of them becomes like a juggler or something. But yeah, you kind of see the, like, yeah, I guess it's like has to do kind of with like the circus. Like, see how his abilities are.
I love the theme of it though. It's super cool.
And he's juggling now.
I'm also just like a sucker for like really kick-ass like pixel animated games and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love pixel art games.
Yeah, speaking of which, I got a good one to throw at you back to back after this.
Sure, yeah. So there's this game I'm hooked on. I do recommend anyone pick this up. It's pretty cheap. It's like if you get it at full price, it's like $34. You know.
So once I throw at you that I've been playing here, it's a new game that came out. It's called Fretless.
Fretless?
Yeah, Fretless. And then type in like RPG. This is a video game made by a YouTuber named Rob Scallon. I have been playing guitar for over 10 plus years, and this dude is the reason I got into playing guitar. Like I learned his songs, so on and so forth. And like I even like almost bought his signature model guitar when he put it out. It is, as he calls it, a guitar RPG, because as you see here, the mechanics of it is like you're running around, you're grabbing instruments, and you're fighting like evil kind of monsters and robots and stuff that are like plaguing the land essentially. And as you're picking up different instruments, like you can pick up a bass, an acoustic guitar, an electric guitar, like a keyboard, you know, and every single time you want to like do an input for an attack, it's a time-based mechanic. And when you're playing and you're fighting against it to like block against enemies, you have to be in time to the beat. So they had to design the entire game to basically be at the same tempo, same key, you know, but still make it sound good and unique and interesting and everything. And like the way you pick out your attacks, it's like a card-based system, you know, like you get XYZ amount of points, so you can allocate them into like what you get in like your deck, and then like randomly they kind of come at you. And as you see here, you know, you just get to like do these epic guitar battles against all sorts of demons or whatever comes up. But it's such a awesome concept. Just it's completely self-made. It's just this dude and a small team of friends. Like they made this game over the course of like 7+ years or something like that, like something to that extent. But it is such a fun, cozy game. Like obviously, like I'm a fanboy of the guy who made it anyway. So I'm like, it could have been crap. I'm like, this is amazing. But it is such a high quality, full of fun and love game that's like, oh man. And plus, like me being a musician, like there's so many like little things about it that make me go like, man, they really did think of that. Like when you have your instrument equipped, there's like special things you could do to add to it. So like for example, like you make a pedal board, and those pedals that you put on your pedal board that you unlock throughout the game give you special abilities and stuff, you know. And it's just like so much fun. It's cozy, but it's still like super like epic at times. Like these are all like the different instruments that you see here, and the the electric piano one or whatever is kind of one of my favorites, because out of nowhere you just start rollerblading out of nowhere, because the guy who's the main character, who's also the YouTuber, his name's Rob Scallon again, he was also a rollerblader. Like he's super into that, so he's like, why shouldn't we put that in? You know.
That's cool.
But yeah, like if you're in that sort of like musical YouTube space or whatever, like there's a lot of cameos and stuff, not only through his videos, but like other people too, especially like in like the starting world or whatever. It's just such a great vibe and everything. It's just one of those games where like we talked about before, just roaming around is fun enough. And when you get to fight and like do the battles and stuff, like it's super cool.
That's cool. And I'm actually going to put this on my backlog because...
Dude, I highly recommend it.
It looks cool. And I'm just going to play a little bit so that people can hear what it kind of sounds like, I guess, when they're playing.
Yeah, if I find a gameplay one.
Cool. That's on my time. That's fine.
And the music's so good. And what's really cool about this too is like the guy, Rob Scallon, a lot of the songs and the motifs and the stuff that like you're traveling through, it's all based off of his actual songs. A big part of like how he kind of got really well known too is like he writes this kind of style of music that's like he gets like the biggest song he ever wrote was called Anchor, and it's like an 8-string guitar piece, and like 8-string guitars, it's like heavy chug and metal or whatever. But he took that, put it in kind of like a different tuning, so it's still heavy, but it's all on like a clean tone, right? And it's just like tapping and this and that, and it's just super beautiful, and it just got really big and everything, and like it's super awesome. And like all of like his big hits essentially are like the team that helped work on this game was basically putting that in there. I was gonna say, are you gonna show me the Death-Stranding guitar battle? No. But this has also been something that's been on my list for a while.
Oh, Death-Stranding?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is something I've been playing, and first game is good. I like the story. And it was just crazy. No spoilers, but like, just like what
I've seen so many clips of Death-Stranding 2. And I've been told, like, by the way, this is like the end. This is the ending. And I'm like, it still isn't a spoiler because of how nonsensical it is at times. You know what I mean? It's like if you just cut it to a random clip, oh, here comes the baby.
Oh.
I still remember when everyone was like, this is actually the next Metal Gear Solid game.
Well, that's the thing. It's got aspects that feel very Metal Gear Solid. Like, it feels like the Phantom Pain in a lot of ways. Like, in terms of like how your character moves and stuff. Like, it's more like realistic. And this game, many times, like in certain screenshots, certain environments, it looks very realistic.
I did see this one section of like the game where it's just like a completely innocent thing of like you're just hanging out with like some of the characters in like the hub or whatever, like where you're and you're just like taking photos, like you're doing group photos with like the girls who like are living there because they like want to hang out and like have fun. And like the modeling that they did looks insanely like I can't even explain it because it's just like immensely photorealistic. It looks like if someone had just like literally like layered the video of them posing in it and just like put it in there. It's crazy.
Like, that's Norman Reedus. Like, you know that. Like, you could tell like right off the bat. And I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like what's her name, Tomorrow, and all them. Yeah, all of them are hanging out right there.
Well,
like even this stuff and like just visually, like the designs and like the aesthetics of it, it's so crazy, but it's so Kojima at the same time.
And that's the thing. It's just you could tell by playing it has the DNA of
Hideo Kojima. It's all Kojima. Yeah, and that too. They just like are putting all these like crazy cameos and stuff to just like have people like hang out. Like I remember in the first game they put Conan O'Brien in there as one of them, and then in this one they put like that VTuber in there as well.
Yeah, they did. They definitely did, and it was hilarious. I remember seeing that. I didn't even know he was in the game until I saw like a skit on YouTube of Conan O'Brien pretty much talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. And what's even crazier too is like you see how crazy realistic he looked in that game. And like they had like the shot of him with like all like the that gigantic globe with like all those like super high-powered cameras to do like the face scan or whatever. Like I'm pretty sure in between the first game and the second one they probably did like some sort of major upgrade, so it's like even more cameras, or like just more like high-powered ones, because like the amount of like it's not even just like the movement or whatever, because like you can just animate movement, like you can make these models and like make really good puppets and just have people who know what they're doing to make it like look smooth or whatever, but like to make like the actual skin move in a certain way, you know what I mean? Like that it's really those little details that are just like literally leave me speechless. Like how do you think to even like go beyond what's already been set in motion for this type of stuff, man? It's insane.
It's crazy to see how far we've come too. Like I remember people being blown away by the Final Fantasy VIII. Like
when we moved from 7 to 8, in the Final Fantasy series, we're like, guys, we are out of the polygon territory. We have done it. They basically put real people in the game.
Yeah, at least in the cutscenes. But it was just like, when you go back to playing Final Fantasy VIII and you see like Squall and
you play it now.
It's just like,
yeah, because it's all like big crushed and everything, basically. You know what I mean? For like how it looks, but it's like again, it's all like matter of perspective. Like how it was back, like to them back then. that was their Death-Stranding too, you know. And like now here we are, and we're like, holy shit, this is this insane leap from what it was before.
I will still go back and play games that look like that. It doesn't bother me. I know that some people can't stand playing a game that doesn't look good, which is kind of silly to me. But
well, I mean, like there is kind of like the whole trend too. It's like we are a bit spoiled of like getting constant remakes for a lot of games, you know. I mean, speaking of which, I mean, Metal Gear Solid 3 is about to, you know, come out pretty soon, you know. And I've seen some stuff about like the some weird reviews about it, actually, about like the performance on it. Like apparently the base PS5 version of the new remake from Metal Gear Solid 3 actually runs better than the PS5 Pro.
Yeah, I saw that actually.
But like,
which is interesting.
But I get it though.
The thing is, I think that part of the problem too is that they're pushing it on quality mode, which is shooting for 4K.
Exactly.
And it's like, dude, let's put it at 1440p and let it, you know.
That's all I run.
I would rather. Yeah, I would rather run
like you know, that's why it's not too much of like a crazy thing for me when I hear like the base version of the PS5 is running it better. It's like, well, it's because it has to be forced to lower spec, and it's gonna run as that smoother pace to do it compared to when you're overclocking it, right? With it's better hardware.
We're both not playing this game yet because it hasn't come out yet, but I'll play that next. Why I paused it here is because I wanted to mention before I forgot that basically when you're playing in this game, the weather actually changes now, which it didn't really change. We only had one type of weather in the first Death-Stranding game, and that was rain, basically. But now you have like different weather. You have sandstorms that can come in depending on the area. You have like, you can have a region that's kind of like a riverbed and you're walking through it, but if it rains, you can get like a flash flood and you have like water coming through. So like you can kind of see like that flash flood. You have earthquakes now too. So
that's actually
pretty cool.
Pretty sick for them to put that kind of like dynamic environment in there. Yeah, tell me that's not a front center Metal Gear Solid reference in design.
Yeah, that'd be. Oh, I didn't even know that was a big one. But yeah, it's a really good game. The mechanics, it's very fun to play. Some people just say, oh, it's just a delivery simulator, and it really isn't. When you like listen.
Well, I know the first one, it was definitely a little bit more on that end, right? It's like everyone was like, there was a little bit more credence to call it an Amazon worker, you know, simulator. But everything that I've seen from like the second one, you know, just like in the clips I see, like the gameplay is definitely way more dynamic and stuff in comparison. I don't even think even just in the gameplay, I think even just in like the characters and stuff, like the way they've seemed to expand on like the whole premise of like how everything is happening right now based on what happened with the first events of the game. I think it definitely is in a better spot from what I can tell so far. So I'm definitely hyped to actually like jump on it and check it out more.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah, guys, we're not playing this game, but we'll show you this running in Unreal Engine 5 looks insane. It's cool to say that it's pretty safe for a remake. You know, they'll just made
well,
it better.
I mean, like someone had gone through and like put like some clips of random scenes in the remake to the original. And it really is just a bar for bar reskin. The pacing of cutscenes are literally down to like the second, you know, of like how they're framing stuff. Which I mean, like, I don't think that's a bad thing. You know, I think it's just like make it a slightly easier experience to go through and play the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there.
For people who are unfamiliar, let's do a side by side right here. But I love this game. I beat this game so many times.
I mean, it is the best game for a reason. And I'm not just saying that because, you know, the Snake Eater song is like one of the greatest things that someone's ever put in the studio, you know?
Wow, that song was awesome. I used to sing that song when you're climbing up the ladder.
Of course. Yeah, but like, and like, this is the thing too. It's like Metal Gear always had kind of like these weird Kojima choices, you know, of like how many times they pan to a character or why they do the right character. Like, you know, why does Ocelot meow at you?
Well, I forgot.
You know, he's like, everyone leave, meow. Yeah, it's like they kept it in. Yeah, I mean, so it's like I feel like if people were like, especially like going into like Death-Stranding as an example, and they're like, why is XYZ being so weird or random or this or that? It's like it's coded into it. It has to be. You know, it wouldn't be a Kojima game without it. And honestly, good on him for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna look for something with a more side by side. Let's see.
Yeah, that one there.
Yeah, people can like get an idea.
The one thing I heard a lot of people say is they've removed the yellow tint filter. Is basically what they did.
Yeah, that 70s Well, this is in the 60s, I believe.
I think that's what it said through. And I'm kind of like, I need to give it time and actually like play the remake when it comes out to see how I feel about it or whatever. But I do think like the color grading on the original did give it a really unique feel throughout all of the game. So I hope that this is a little bit dynamic in it.
You can actually see here, like, there's still blur and stuff on the left-hand side, but you can it's illegible on the right.
Yeah.
You could.
But again, like the idea, at least at that time, was like you were never meant to be able to like Jarvis enhance. You know what I mean? And now I think the standard is like as things are getting better and better, people want it to be at that type of level and stuff. But yeah, this is what I mean. You know, it's like they basically are just like putting a whole new skin on it. The one thing I do hope that they keep is like there were multiple ways to play this game. You know, and for those who've played like it's like you don't have to just go in, fight the guy or to fight the bosses and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I love being able to like the Psycho Mantis fight, like in like the first one and the second one, like being able to go ahead and like unplug your controller or set your controller to like P2 default, you know, and like that's how you get out of like Psycho Mantis's like crazed kind of state and whatnot.
It's just crazy to see all the detail though. Still, it's like wow, like how far we've come. Like look at his arm; it's just kind of like a blurry mesh between his like where.
Yeah, you can't really tell that it's a sleeve. You just be like, oh man, like is he a burn victim? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like now you had not simulated, but you had like darker colored to give the illusion of creases in his outfit, whereas now like
now you can just actually make a crease because you can actually generate what would be the fabric for the the actual character model and stuff.
Yeah.
The one thing I mentioned to see, I mean, they kind of showed it in that other video we looked at with when he pulls up like Sokolov and stuff, the camo. Yeah, I mean, the whole big thing about this game too was like being able to switch your camo on the fly and different outfits and stuff. You know what I mean? To be able to better blend in the environment. I really want to see how they like handle like not just the cutscenes, but like actually when you're traversing through it. It's like, do you really like does the camo really work as intended, or do you stick out really badly when you actually are trying to go through it and like be more stealthy?
Well, I'm actually playing. Just to show people who are replaying this, because I never got to beat it, and I was like, you know what? Let me just start over so that I don't miss anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it is one of my favorites. So no spoilers.
They played us like a damn fiddle.
I didn't even know you could do that. Oh, you just saw. You just
yeah.
I know you could die.
He's Superman. He's Superman.
Because I'm gonna literally try this when I start playing it. Pro tip, if you play this on the Steam Deck, it can run at max settings at 60.
Really?
No bullshit. Yeah, no bullshit.
That's crazy.
I was surprised. I was like, holy shit, like I'm running this at 60 FPS. I have everything set to epic and high, because some things don't go up to epic, and I'm playing this in handheld.
That's pretty crazy.
It looks great. Yeah, no frame rate issues whatsoever. Like I haven't had any issues playing this game on Steam Deck. It's kind of amazing, because it's like, I'm like, wow, I went from playing like Peace Walker on the PSP, you know, like playing this in handheld. It's just every iteration of like technology is just insane.
My favorite part about this game in particular was always being able to like tag somebody and like shoot them up in the air with the balloon stuff. Yeah, that as well. That's the Phantom Pain, the Phantom Jeep.
Yeah.
That's great.
And how you can just go out at night if you wanted to, but then the soldiers start to get wise if you keep using the same tactics. Like if you keep doing missions at night, the enemies will start to wear night vision.
Yeah.
Them guys just murdering everyone.
Yeah, he's definitely got a full genocide run on Undertale. You know what I mean?
Well, it's definitely like you get more points for keeping people alive.
I mean, he's going a pointless run. You know, he's trying to get no points, let everything burn, grab the objective, and get it out of there. But I mean, you know what? All props to him. I mean, I've seen like some crazy speedruns for this too. Like I saw someone do like a speed run for I think it was for this year's GDQ, where someone did 3. Yeah, it's just literally just right into it. But they did a run where it's like the Snake's model was invisible, actually. So you couldn't even see where Snake is or any of the enemies. So you couldn't see anyone. You just had to know where the paths were and stuff.
They would still see you, though?
Yeah, like in terms of like the game characters and models, like they can still have that detection to like know where their relative locations are. So like if you start like shooting people and you get caught, right? Like you'll get caught and you get a game over or something, right? But you just can't see it. and it was like a donation goal for them to like be able to do it or something, I think. But yeah, it was pretty basic. I highly recommend for anyone who sees this to go ahead and check that out. I don't know, Phantom Pain would let me kind of like 50-50 bias, but also I feel like I'm just so like burnt out of like super highly realistic gameplay action, you know, just because I grew up playing them for so long. Like they're still great. I'll also hop into one, but I was starting to play another game recently back on the Switch. Have you ever played Coffee Talk?
No.
So
I think I've seen it.
Yeah, Coffee Talk Switch. So before you go ahead and click on anything, I'm just gonna say it 3 words. It's a comfy barista simulator game with a lo-fi soundtrack, and it's based in like a fantasy world essentially. So like you're serving coffee and all this other stuff to, you know, people who come into your shop, and you know, everyone who comes in is like either a vampire or a werewolf or a demon or elf or whatever, you know. And then this person here, Fresh, he's a journalist who like wants to like hear people's stories and stuff. But the thing that's really cool about this game is like, you just think it's just a comfy game, you know, just like a time waster. And it is just like a nice, sweet, chill little game or whatever. But as you like build these relationships with like the patrons who come in to your game, into your little coffee shop and stuff, it actually impacts some parts of the story, you know. For example, there's like, not to get too spoilery about, but there's like a werewolf who comes in and he's looking for like a way to like pacify himself for when the full moon's about to come, right? And if you start making him stuff that's good, you know, and he's like, this actually might be the spot, I think you're onto something, you know. When he like has an attack and he's like trying to control himself, he's gonna come to you, and it's up to you to figure out like what the last remaining piece of the puzzle is when you build his drink again to get him to calm down.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, so everybody has their own little...
Yeah, and there's like a lot of people who are in there. Like if you like go back a little bit, there's like a section between, it's like 2 people, like right there. Yeah, exactly there. It's like those 2 people who you just saw on the screen like a second ago. They're a couple who are like, one's an elf, one's like a demon, you know, and like they're trying to like it, you know, make their relationship work, whatever, and like through your coffee, yeah, you're helping them with their issues too, you know what I mean? The soundtrack, it's such like a great like keep in the background type of music, you know what I mean? It's like total side note, whatever, but it's like, you know, I enjoy making like lo-fi from scratch and stuff, and there's definitely been like a recent kind of uptick in like AI lo-fi, and like those all suck. You know, so anything that's like, no, this was made by people, you know, these are people who just like are really good at what they do, and it's just like super nice chill music and stuff. I'm always in support of that.
Cool.
They even have like a vinyl and everything too out, which is absolutely crazy. I was like, good for them.
Yeah, they have a lot of like these indie games now getting their own vinyl, like, you know, soundtracks and stuff, which is pretty cool. Another one, since we're like showing a lot of pixel games, I think this is, I'm forgetting the name. No, that's a show.
Man, these graphics look crazy.
Nova Pixel RPG. I don't know. I forgot what it's called. Something Nova shit. It's gonna bug me. I'm literally gonna.
We're gonna get off this call, and you're gonna be like 3 a.m, and you're gonna remember it.
No,
I'm
gonna find this now. If anyone actually have my Steam Deck in front of me.
All right, well, while speaking of which, you know, since the last time we got, what's been your thoughts currently on the Switch 2? We haven't got a chance to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, the Switch 2, man, like, I've been enjoying myself, especially Zelda. That's been like my big thing, but I've also like been taking a break because I have like super massive ADHD, and
yeah,
especially when it comes to games or TV shows, sometimes I'll do that. Like I'll jump from one thing to the next. Like it doesn't make sense. I'm not normal, I guess. I don't know. But the Switch 2 has been exactly what I wanted from it. And I know that, you know, it's not everyone's cup of tea. I know that people are upset about the gaming aspect where it's a lot of digitals pushing digital now instead of you having, you know, the game key card fiasco and everything. But, you know, if I want a physical game, then I just make sure that I pay attention. Sometimes I don't care, and I will actually just get the digital version of the game because it doesn't really matter to me, you know, so.
No, right.
But sometimes I may want, or I really appreciate a
game going out of their way to like make it physical.
Yeah. Or if it's a part of like one of my favorite genres, like Final Fantasy, Persona, that's like hands down has to be physical. Like, you know, that's what I go for. So, but I found the name of it. I've been enjoying a lot of Zelda on it whenever I'm in the mood for someone to play Zelda, and also Arceus, Pokemon Arceus, because I'll never beat it.
Yeah. I don't know. I've been kind of like in the mixed range with it. Like, obviously, I think it's a good product. I think like baseline in terms of like the tech of it, I'm happy with it, and like with the way it's been running stuff. There's definitely been some weird stuff, but I think it's stuff that's like stuff I should have already known about it. Like, just not every single game is going to be conveniently optimized to run perfectly on the Switch 2 immediately. Like, obviously, like the best games that they're going to want you to play from Switch 1 to Switch 2 is the ones that have the patch and blah blah blah, all that stuff already set up and whatnot. But I think it's fine for what it is. I think it's kind of starting to fall in the PS5 kind of launch realm of like, we have the PS5, but we have no games. You have your PS4 library though, right? So just use that.
And I wish that if they're being like that, at the very least, they could start pushing more. And I know a lot of it's up to developers. And their first party titles, they've been pushing updates, but I wish that older developers would go back real quick, and then at the very least, if you can't unlock the frame rate or that might introduce issues, just raise the resolution, so that text and everything looks clear.
I mean, it's kind of like column B for some stuff, because like in terms of like, I think it's partially on Nintendo, but I also think it's partially on developers now wanting to kind of throw their hands into it. And I think maybe partially for the developers end that I think is understandable is the whole key card thing. But it's still Nintendo's end to make sure like actually put stuff out. At least like I want more like first gen IP titles from them, like, because all we really have right now is Mario Kart World and then Donkey Kong Bonanza in terms of like big IPs. You know what I mean? It's like, I think until we get like the next Pokemon or the next Legend of Zelda or anything else like in that realm or whatever, it's like we're getting some small other games and stuff like that. But I think in terms of like those like top tier kind of ones, and it's like the Donkey Kong Bonanza game has great reviews and people are like, it's a super fun game. Like, they're definitely like hitting it on the head every time, I think. But I think we just need more of it until it actually starts picking up steam to be like, I think I really need the Switch 2.
And I get that, and I respect people. Like, I'm definitely a lot of times an early adopter if I really want something, and I've been wanting like a Switch 2 for a while because of the performance thing. Because some games just like I wanted it to just be smoother. I don't care if it was at 30. I just wanted it to be a little smoother. And for the most part, the Switch 2 kind of fixes that problem. So that's why I'm like happy with it. And I know that there are people out there who want more, Switch 2 exclusive content stuff. To say it has games and stuff, which I can agree it could use some more of. However, I have such a backlog of games that I put pause on because of my performance issues that now work. It has expanded greatly to my backlog of games to play.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of where it falls more too. Like, I think it's like if you have such a vast library that you don't really need the new games from that to just be Switch 2 only, like who cares, But like if you don't have as much, you just like, again, like if you're just coming straight out the box as your first like stab at anything like that in terms of like the Switch, then yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a turnoff if you're not already kind of in the game already.
Yeah, because I was never in the boat to get a Switch 2 just for like Switch 2 only stuff.
Yeah.
I was excited to basically have games that would just start running well now. And that was my
that's valid.
There are a lot of videos now pushing how like it basically fixes within reason, because some games can only work so well depending on how the developer left it, right? But most games that had performance issues are just working now. They don't have the problem, which is really cool to see.
Segue from that.
In this game, Terra Memoria is another pixel art game, and they released it on Switch, but it had performance issues, so I got it on Steam Deck. And this is another game that you might be interested in. RPG.
Is it because of the alcohol reference or the fantasy violence that you think I'll enjoy it?
Both.
Yeah, that's the true answer.
But yeah, you play as a bunch of different characters, and it's really interesting, this one, because there are like 3 characters that don't really, at least as far as I've gotten, don't join combat. So like, for instance, you see this guy who has the blonde hair with little goggles.
Right.
On the chain, and then you have the sloth with the afro.
Right.
And then you also have the girl with the blue hair.
Mm-hmm.
They're like partner characters, meaning you can change this up in the tactics menu, but I leave it on the random. So every time I get into battle, they will randomly partner up with one of the other 3 characters that I have. And these other 3 characters can use magic. So that's how they attack and stuff. And, they can learn different elements and all kinds of stuff like that. But depending on who's partnered with that character, they'll have like different boosts. So for instance, the sloth guy, whoever has the sloth guy, he can turn your moves into healing moves because the sloth plays musical instruments, and that's just kind of like his thing.
Right, he's a bard, yeah.
Yeah, but when you're outside of battle, you can choose any of the characters to be your avatar to walk around in, which is interesting.
I like that kind of aspect of it though, because like thinking of just like writing styles of like fantasy lore or whatever, like when I like write D&D campaigns, like I'll like DM a campaign. Like it's one thing when somebody is like, and then my character can shoot a fireball and he has a gun and he has nunchucks, and it's like, all right, well hold on. It's like it's like, are you a specialist at all these, or you're just okay at a little bit of all these? But like in this sort of context, when you like write it out in the story, it's like, no, like a party is a sum of everyone, right? And like being able to like pick and choose and customize that is actually kind of a pretty cool concept. I like that.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. This is another game kind of like Sea of Stars that we were talking about earlier that has campfires. So you can start campfires, and sometimes characters will talk about things, about what's going on their journey. And I don't know why, but I just always enjoy it. I never get tired of the campfire thing when games implement it.
I know, I haven't seen fishing yet. There's still a 0 out of 10 for me.
There is fishing, but it's not involved like the other ones.
0 out of 10.
Fishing,
why are we watching this? Why are you watching this? If we can't fish, why are we here?
Most fishing, at least as I've seen early in the game, is that you see like a fishing pole like sticking out from like the dock, and then you go up to it, press the button, and you get a fish.
Is there at least an animation of you throwing a rod into the pond?
No.
0 out of 10. Get this out of here. Skip it.
But you can pick food, which it's
time out. The realistic JPEGs.
Yeah.
with the clip art. Oh, that's actually pretty funny.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like whatever food you make permanently raises the HP of your characters.
Oh, okay.
And then there's a little mini game that I like that it's there, but I wish it was more involved. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be longer, just a little more challenging, because it's literally like press these buttons right here at the bottom, and then boom, that recipe is done. So it's just for the sake of making you press buttons there. And I felt like if it was a little more involved with the process of you making that thing, might make it a little more fun, and maybe keep this version if people don't want the more complicated version. Give people choice. I'm all about games that give people choice. This one doesn't do that, but it's still fun. It's nothing too complicated, I guess. I mean, that's just like one con that I feel like could be improved. But otherwise, I am enjoying the game, and it's one of those games that like after every battle you fully heal, so you don't have to worry about stocking up on like healing
on a million potions or anything else like that.
Healing in battle, that's a different thing. Like you'll definitely want to heal in battle, and there's just kind of like this balance and flow. Like using certain moves will make you take longer for your turn to come up, things like that. So there is this balance, and it's
kind of reminds me of like the Brave default system, like in the Bravely Default games, right? Where it's like you could either save up turns or you could spend turns, but you get burnt out, so you gotta recover.
Yeah, and it also has puzzles, and they have these like interactive kind of like, I wouldn't call them mini games, although this one looks more like a mini game. But there was one, like, for instance, where you had to move the tracks so that the train could go a different route. Kind of like here, where you see the building, where you're doing something to, like, build and improve things, which is pretty interesting. It's just, like, little mechanics that, like, freshen up the monotony of, like, doing the same thing over and over and getting you tired. They give you little nice breaks from the main gameplay, which is nice. And then I do like how the game looks. It's like a 3D with pixel art kind of, like, blend, which is really nice.
Yeah, so like it's got like that quarter turn aesthetic to it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and this is like basically the turn meter you see here at the bottom.
Right,
You can see all the way to the left, the Rhino. The Rhino Magician is going to go first, and then if he uses this move, this electric charge, he's going to be able to play again in 10 turns. So it's going to go, his space is
it shows you all the way where you are.
But you don't have to do that, It's just interesting. It's different than anything I've played before. Yes, it's got similar RPG things that, turn-based mechanisms and things like that. But like the battle, I enjoy it very much. And this is on everything. This is on Switch. This is on Steam Deck. This is on PC. I have it on Steam Deck personally.
I like the aesthetic of it.
Anything else you've been playing? Is it like a good last one?
Anything new? Not too much. I've actually been replaying some older stuff on my catalog. Primarily, I've been going through and playing the Final Fantasy VII Remake again, because I used to have it on my PlayStation 4, and then my house flooded and I lost my PlayStation 4, and I couldn't get it back because I only had the disc, and I was like, damn, that sucks. And I've been like iffy about like even really getting into the Final Fantasy VII Remake, mainly just because like, I don't know, like I love the game, it's not that's the issue, but it's like the way they're doing hey, I was just there. The way they're putting out the games of like they're making them all into these parts and stuff, like it's cool, but it's like it's gonna be like whether it was just like turn-based or if it's going in like this style that they've kind of done since like Final Fantasy 15, where it's like it's more open combat with like being able to like switch between the characters and stuff. You know, I think either or is cool. I am still like a really big fan of like the way they have everything else kind of coming through with like the combat system and like just being able to like do sick combos, get new gear, seeing your gear be reflected as like you're like getting the skills from what you're unlocking for everyone in your party.
The combat especially is fun. It's taking me by surprise because you definitely can't button mash. You get your ass handed to you sometimes.
I mean, yeah, I still button mash the shit out of it. Yeah.
Well,
I just stocked up on a lot of potions. That's how I deal with it. But I think like one of the biggest things too, it's like there were some small decisions like in the story that I'm like, I didn't know at first why they were doing it this way, because I was expecting it to be a little bit more like that, like the Metal Gear remake for Snake Eater, right? Where it's like it's gonna be bar for bar, the exact same thing, nothing else has changed. But I'm not opposed to like some of the small things that they had changed. I actually like the direction in it because it feels a bit more intimate of you seeing what's happening, like especially here, like when you're just still in Midgar. You know, being able to go through and like really see like the devastating effects of like the plate falling and how people view you as, you know, like a part of Avalanche and so on, right? I think all that is still like really fun and cool. There were some parts of the game I was like, why is this here?
Have you got the other one? The second one yet?
Like specifically like when you have to like go into the Honeybee Inn and all of a sudden it turns into like Dance Dance Revolution. I was like, this is stupid. Cool. Yeah, I'm like, this is like a Kojima game now. You know, it's like random dance battles. Like that was the only part I was like, this is dumb. I don't think we should be doing this. But other than that, I think everything else has been pretty sick though. And I'm almost at the end of the first part. I'm about to hit like the second half, like when Yuffie starts coming along and so on.
Is this your first playthrough, or you said you were?
I played it before. I just never beat it all the way, just because like timing and stuff. But now that I'm like caught up and I'm like more further ahead and stuff, like I'm definitely like getting more joy out of like seeing kind of like the climax of the first part and stuff, because now I'm getting more to like the nostalgia portion. I'm like, oh yeah, this part was super sick, I remember this, that, and the other. So I'm excited to see how they build the rest of it off though.
I can't wait for you to try Rebirth.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to get into.
Although Rebirth on a standard PS5 is like, you want to play it I think at quality, because they understand that performance is like really blurry mess.
Yeah, I just want to kind of just jump into it and like give it a shot and see how it was and everything, because like Final Fantasy 9 is 100% always going to be my favorite, heart and soul. I rip my shirt off and show a tattoo if I have it, you know what I mean? One day I hope we get that remake or something, you know, for that. But until then, I'll be content with, you know, what they do with Final Fantasy 7. I think it's so so good.
Yeah. But yeah, Rebirth was fun. Being that you haven't gone to it yet, I won't put any gameplay or spoilers, but
yeah.
But yeah, that's what we've been playing for now, guys. But if you enjoy this episode or you like to see more content like this, please like, share, and subscribe, as well as let us know what you guys are playing, or if there's anything you recommend us playing, and we can go into that. And eventually, soon, we're going to do some music trivia with Sonny here, playing some songs, some tunes to it, and we'll see if you can guess some of the songs. I'll give him a list of songs to play because he plays guitar really well, actually.
We don't believe the hype.
And now he's really good. And we specifically got to do like a Persona-based episode, because you have some like really good like Persona covers and your own spin on things too, which I like.
Yeah, for context, I play a little bit of jazz, so I mean, Persona is or at least the Persona 5 soundtrack has definitely been like one of my faves from the game so far.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. And be sure to, again, like, share, and subscribe. Let us know what you're playing, what you're into. And we'll catch you guys on the next one.
This is Lunar, signing off.